everybody messes up. We tend to have put up this front like you got it all together, and I think it's healthy for people to see that, you know what, we make mistakes. Everybody kind of makes mistakes, and so don't if you put this unrealistic expectation on people and don't show your foibles, I think you're doing them a disservice.
Rob Kenney, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
You bet. Thanks for having me on.
Our pleasure. For our audience, can you start by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing?
Yeah, my name is Rob Kenney, and I started the YouTube channel Dad How Do I in April of 2020. The name Dad How Do I comes from, when I first thought of the idea, I came up with the name because I pictured one of my kids in the other room calling out, "Dad, how do I?" And then I would come running and fix whatever they had going on.
Oh, that's very cool. And so it was inspired by your children to kind of answer that question to other people who may be having similar questions. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. My kids are older now. This was 3 years ago. They're 31 and 28 now, so they were 28 and 25 at the time. So they were out of the house, and I had learned a lot of things the hard way, and just was trying to share my experience with other people. And I try to talk to the camera like I'm talking to my own kids, giving them what I believe to be good advice, dad advice.
That's awesome. I love that. And when did you finally actually take the first step towards developing this channel? And I understand the motivation was to answer this question for other children who are out there, but what was the final impetus that you're going to actually open up the channel and give it a real shot?
Yeah, I thought of it a couple years prior to my first video, and then during the pandemic, I was locked away just like everybody else, and I really ran out of excuses. I had shared the idea with my daughter, and I think with my son too, but my daughter was in the area. My son's on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast, and so I was discussing it with my daughter, and she was like, "Dad, you just need to do it. People would like to hear from just a normal dad because they're hearing from celebrities. I really think they want to hear from a normal dad." And I didn't have any excuses left. So I was locked in my house, and, like everybody else, and I put up the how to tie a tie video because, again, I don't need a whole lot of fancy equipment. I don't need, and it took me about 15 minutes to actually make the video and edit it. So didn't take a whole lot of my time. So I thought, what the heck? I'll try it and see what happens.
Which tie did you go with? Was it which knot?
You know what? People ask me that, and I don't even know which one I use. It's a successful one that I've always used. I think it's
Double
a double
Windsor.
Windsor, but
Okay, all right, there
I
you go.
think
Okay,
so, but
very
I
cool.
couldn't. I can't tell you that for sure.
And so when you put when so you obviously you recorded yourself putting the tie on, I assume, and then what happened? It just went viral. How many views did that get? What was the visibility on that?
Yeah. It took a little while. So I put up my first video April 2nd. I actually started my channel April 1st, ironically, April Fool's Day. So, and then my first video is April 2nd. And then I did how to shave. And then I did a few other ones as I was communicating with my followers. I thought I was going to have this tight knit community that I'd be able to answer questions for 30 or 40 people, and we'd kind of help a group of people navigate their lives. And then my backstory, I think part of the reason it went viral was my backstory is my dad left when I was 14. So a lot of the stuff I was sharing was stuff I learned the hard way. I learned how to tie a tie from my roommate when I was 19. I wasn't too concerned whether it was a Windsor or a double Windsor. I just need to know how to tie a tie, right? So that's why I don't even know what kind I'm actually using. I just needed to look good. Uh, so then I had about 6 or 7 videos up at the time when a gal on TikTok shared about it. Somehow she found out about it, and somebody on Facebook shared about it, and somebody tweeted about it, and then Reddit got a hold of it, and it just exploded. And I mean, there's signs of me holding up saying, wow, I'm at 10,000 followers, 10,000 subscribers. And I can't even believe that it's that big. And then around May 20th or so, it was over 1 million. And now it's almost at 5 million.
Now, coming from this community, there's probably a lot of important conversations that you have among the people within your platform. I'm wondering if there's any personal experiences that you've had with your platform and your community, any meaningful interactions that you might like to share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many, so it's hard to pick just one. And if you spend any time on my channel, you'll see the reaction that people are having. In my ignorance, I thought I was just going to show people how to tie a tie. And there's people crying watching me tie a tie. Maybe they never had a dad moment, or they missed their dad, or all of the above, or had a bad dad, or what have you. And so that caught me by surprise. It's resonating on a level that I had no idea it would be. So like I said, rather than, I do think of one that just popped in my head because it's fairly fresh, that this gal had written to me a really heartfelt letter and heartfelt note, and emailed me, and she said that she just got out of a really tough relationship. Her boyfriend was abusive, and she even ended up with a brain injury, and so she's struggling to regain. Yeah, I mean, brings tears to your eyes if and it's hard. I get caught up in the emotion of it too, and my heart breaks for people for the things that they're going through. And she shared that she loves just watching me just for dad moments, and she said she even puts on my YouTube channel to help her fall asleep as she's recovering from her brain injury. So I mean, that's pretty amazing.
So, the story you just shared highlights how you're supporting others. Are there any people or groups during your life and career that have helped support you during some of your difficult times, even going all the way back to childhood? And I understand that your father wasn't around. Was there any support that you received that you'd like to acknowledge?
Yeah, well, God's been a big part of my life. So I would be, it would be horrible of me to act like I'm doing this all on my own. God's been gracious to me and good to me, and forgiving of me with my struggles too. But I will recognize my brother Rick. When my dad left, my dad said, so I'm one of 8 kids.
Whoa!
I'm number
Oh
7.
my God!
Yeah, I'm number 7. And my dad got custody of us. I share all this story in my book, but my dad got custody of us, and my mom wasn't able to take care of us, sadly. And so my dad got custody of us, but he kind of moved on and met another woman, and so he would load us up with groceries and be gone for a week at a time. The younger kids, the older kids were out of the house, but so when I was 14, my dad came home and said, I'm done raising kids. Either the older kids are going to have to take in the younger kids, or they're going to foster care. And I heard that, I was there when he said that. So pretty hard rejection, my self-esteem took a blow from that for the longest time. Thankfully, I've got my feet underneath me, and the Lord's helped restore that. But so my brother Rick, who was 9 years older than me. He was only 23 at the time, and I was 14. He had just got married, and his wife was 24, Karen, Rick and Karen. They've been married. They got married in October, and then they had a 14-year-old boy move in with them in January. And so just a few months. So they hardly even had a honeymoon, and I'm moving in with them. And they were in a 8x35 trailer. So it wasn't a mobile home. I used to always call it a mobile home, but it's an 8x35 trailer. So it's pretty tight quarters for the odd group of people, motley crew that we had together, of them taking me on. My brother built a bench and put a bed on it in the back of the trailer, and that was my bedroom for a couple of years. Looking back on it, it's interesting, the trauma that you go through. And here I'm 59 now, and that was when I was 14. So that long ago, if I allow myself to kind of go back to it, I can get emotional because it was tough trauma that we kind of went through. But it's been therapeutic. Actually, my channel's been therapeutic because I've been able to kind of relive the story enough times to where now it doesn't hurt so much. And so that's been, yeah, it's been good for me.
Interesting. That actually, I could imagine that would be like rather cathartic to kind of have to resolve some of that by putting it into such a positive outlet. And then maybe even perhaps you mentioned that you wrote a book. What's the book called? And can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, it's called Dad, How Do I? I
Okay.
when my yeah, when my channel first went viral, I was approached by a few publishing companies, and I picked it was William Morrow, a division of HarperCollins, and they produced a very nice book. And the first part of the book is about my siblings. I try to share a good quality character trait from my siblings that I want to pass along. And so the first one was from my sister Mary, and talks about family. I won't go into each one, but just to give you the idea, she talked about the importance of family. And then my brother Tim, who's since passed away, but the importance of having a backbone in your life. You know, you don't want to be a pushover and have people walk all over you. And Tim certainly was like that, where he stood up for himself. And then my brother Rick was a work ethic. And so anyway, I just kind of go through each of these quality traits that I want to pass along to people that I think would be helpful. And then at the back, I have 58 how-tos as well. So some financial, some stuff around the house, some grooming, some, a bunch of different things. And I put in 58. The publisher wanted 50, and I said, let me put 8 extras. That way, if there's somebody says this wasn't helpful, well, okay. Well, you got 50. You got 7 other ones that you can add in there, and should be good.
Um, I know we talked a little bit about your book and some milestone moments for your page, uh, but are there any past projects that you've done that you really enjoyed working on that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, every one of them, I hate to say that, paint with a broad brush, but I love it because I love to be able to kind of break things down in simple steps, because I think there's far too many channels that show you how to do things, but they go, okay, we need a wall here. Boom, the wall's up. Wait, slow down. How did you get that wall up there? What did you do? How did you get there? And so I try to show my mistakes too, like in my shower head video when I'm showing how to change a shower head. I don't change a shower head every day. I know how to do it, and so as I'm doing it, and I loosen it up, water comes pouring out, and I'm like, whoop. I kind of forgot about the water because it didn't come shooting out, but there's still water coming up from the controls up the neck to the shower head. So I try to show those and not cut them out because it's reality. You're going to be dealing with especially if you're not changing toilets every day, it's not going to be perfect. Oh, that's right, I forgot how to do that. I've changed probably 10 toilets in my life, but I don't do it every day, so you're going to forget some steps as you're doing it.
Sure, sure, and I like that, making it realistic. I've not seen it with the changing plumbing situation, but I see it with food all the time where they're cooking something and they're like, chop the carrots, and then they're like, boom, and then they're all chopped, and I was like, I like wish to God it was that easy. Like that would be fantastic. Let me chop all the onions, and then they're just like, boom, all done. I'm like, yeah, really? It's gonna be that easy? No, usually not. So that's a good idea to
Yeah,
keep it
so
more realistic, honestly.
I try to, but it is a little difficult because you want to also keep the video shorter if you can't show everything. And so but when I do mess up, and I think it would be an important thing to share, because everybody messes up. We tend to put up this front like you got it all together, and I think it's healthy for people to see that, what, we make mistakes. Everybody kind of makes mistakes. And so don't if you put this unrealistic expectation on people and don't show your foibles, I think you're doing them a disservice.
Wow, a lot of nuggets of wisdom here. Rob Kenney, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing so much with us. I think people here will be able to. This is a dense episode with a lot to unpack, but I think when people do, they'll realize just how wise and insightful you are, and really appreciate you sharing that with everyone. And hope that everyone enjoys the show. And thanks for joining us today.
You bet. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Tommy.